I was standing in my kitchen making tea when I noticed something strange. A tiny red light blinking from the corner of the bookshelf. At first I thought it was just the smoke detector, but then I realized smoke detectors don't blink red like that. They blink green. I walked closer and there it was. A small black camera no bigger than a button hidden between my late husband's old books. My heart didn't race with panic. Instead, something cold and sharp settled in my chest. Clarity. My son Marcus had put a camera in my house. In my home. The home I built with his father. The home where I raised him. Where I sacrificed everything so he could have the life he wanted. And now he was watching me like I was some kind of lab rat. I didn't touch the camera. I didn't yell or cry or call him immediately. I just stood there with my tea getting cold in my hand, and I smiled. Because Marcus had made a terrible mistake. He thought his 68-year-old mother was too stupid to notice. Too old to fight back. Too weak to do anything about it. But what Marcus didn't know was that I had spent 40 years married to a man who worked in private security. My late husband David taught me everything about surveillance systems. How to spot them. How to avoid them. And most importantly, how to use them. I spent the next hour searching every corner of my house. I found 4 more cameras. One in the living room behind the family photo of Marcus and his wife Jennifer. One in my bedroom hidden in the air vent. One in the hallway near the bathroom. And one in the garage. 5 cameras total. All wireless. All streaming to someone's phone or computer. I sat on my bed that night, and I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling thinking about everything that had led to this moment. It started 6 months ago when Marcus suddenly became very interested in my well-being. He started visiting 3 times a week. He brought Jennifer with him. They asked questions about my health. About my memory. About whether I was taking my medications. Do you remember to lock the doors at night, Mom? Do you forget where you put things? Have you been eating properly? At first I thought it was sweet. My son finally cared after years of barely calling. But then the questions became more pointed. More accusatory. Jennifer would look around the house with this concerned expression and whisper to Marcus when she thought I couldn't hear. She's getting worse. Look at the dust on the shelves. I don't think she's been cleaning. And Marcus would nod with this sad puppy dog face like he was so worried about his poor elderly mother. But I knew what they were really doing. They were building a case. A case to prove I was incompetent. That I couldn't take care of myself. That I needed to be put in a home. And once I was in a home, they could sell my house. Take control of my finances. Access the $1.2 million my husband left me. The money Marcus had been asking about for months. Mom, do you have a will? Mom, have you thought about what happens to the house when you're gone? Mom, maybe you should sign some papers so I can help manage your accounts. You know, just in case. I never signed anything. And that made him angry. I could see it in his eyes. The frustration. The greed. So he installed cameras. He wanted footage of me forgetting things. Leaving the stove on. Looking confused. Anything he could use to convince a judge that I was a danger to myself. But Marcus forgot something important. I wasn't losing my mind. I was sharper than I had ever been. And now I had proof of what he was doing. But I didn't confront him. Not yet. Because I needed more. I needed something that would destroy him completely. Something he couldn't deny or explain away. So I started watching. I checked the camera angles. I learned their blind spots. And I discovered something very interesting. The cameras were motion activated. They only recorded when someone moved in the room. Which meant Marcus was saving money on cloud storage by not recording 24/7. Smart. But also stupid. Because it meant he only saw what happened when someone was moving. He didn't see the still moments. The waiting. The planning. I started acting. Every time I knew the cameras were watching, I played the part Marcus wanted to see. I pretended to forget where I put my keys. I left the stove on for a few minutes before turning it off. I wore the same clothes 2 days in a row. I shuffled when I walked. I stared at the TV like I was confused. And Marcus ate it up. He started visiting more often with this fake concerned voice. Mom, are you okay? You seem a little out of it. Maybe we should talk about getting you some help. I just smiled and nodded. Oh, I'm fine, dear. Just a little tired. But inside I was screaming. Inside I was planning. I called my old friend Margaret, who lived 3 houses down. Margaret had always been tech-savvy. She worked in IT before she retired. I invited her over for coffee and showed her the cameras. Margaret's face went from shock to anger to something that looked like excitement. "Dorothy," she said, "this is illegal. Your son installed surveillance equipment in your home without your consent. You could have him arrested." "I know," I said, "but I want to do something better. I want to catch him in his own trap." Margaret smiled. She understood immediately. "What do you need?" "I need to access the camera feeds. I need my own copies of everything they're recording. Can you help me?" Margaret pulled out her laptop. She was 72 years old, but she could hack into a wireless camera system faster than most 20-year-olds. Within an hour, she had given me full access to all 5 cameras. I could see everything Marcus saw. But he had no idea I was watching too. "Now we wait," Margaret said. "Wait for what I asked." She grinned. "Wait for them to make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, Dorothy. Especially people who think they're smarter than everyone else." 2 weeks after I found the cameras, Jennifer called me. She said Marcus was working late and asked if she could come over to keep me company. I thought it was strange because Jennifer never wanted to spend time with me alone. She always made excuses. But I said yes. "Come over, dear. I'd love the company." She arrived at 7 p.m. wearing a tight black dress and heels. Too fancy for a casual visit with your mother-in-law. She smelled like expensive perfume. She had her hair done. And she was nervous. I could see it in the way she kept checking her phone. I made us tea and we sat in the living room. The camera behind the family photo was watching us. I made sure to sit where it could see my face clearly. We talked about nothing. The weather. The neighbors. Marcus's job. And then at exactly 7:30 the doorbell rang. Jennifer jumped. "Oh, that must be the delivery I ordered." "I'll get it." But I was already standing. No, dear. You relax. I'll answer it." I opened the door and there he was. Richard. Jennifer's ex-boyfriend from college. The man she told Marcus she never spoke to anymore. The man Marcus hated because Jennifer almost married him. Richard smiled at me with that charming smile and said, "Mrs. Patterson, Jennifer told me you needed help moving some furniture." I stared at him. Then I looked back at Jennifer, who had gone completely pale. And I understood everything. This wasn't about helping me. This was about them. I stepped aside. "Come in, Richard. Jennifer is in the living room." He walked past me, and the moment he saw Jennifer, his whole face changed. It wasn't the face of a handyman coming to help an old lady. It was the face of a man seeing his lover. Jennifer stood up quickly. "Richard, what are you doing here? I thought you were." He looked confused. "You told me to come at 7:30. You said Marcus was working late, and—" "Oh, this is beautiful," I thought. "This is perfect." I walked to the kitchen. "You two chat. I'll make more tea." But I didn't make tea. I went to my bedroom and I opened my laptop. The laptop David had set up for me years ago with access to a private security app. The same app that could hack into cheap wireless cameras if you knew the password. And Marcus had used the same password he'd been using since he was 16. His birthday backwards. Idiot. I logged into the camera system. I could see everything. The living room. My bedroom. The hallway. All 5 cameras. And I pressed record on my end. Now I had my own copy. Everything they were recording of me, I was recording of them. I watched on my laptop as Jennifer and Richard talked in the living room. She was angry. "You weren't supposed to come to the house. We were supposed to meet at the hotel." He looked hurt. "You said your mother-in-law needed help. You said it was safe." She grabbed his arm. "Just leave. Please." This was a mistake. But he didn't leave. Instead, he pulled her close and kissed her. Right there. In my living room. Under the camera Marcus had installed to spy on me. I watched Jennifer kiss him back. Watched her hands run through his hair. Watched them stumble toward the couch. And I kept recording. They thought I was in the kitchen making tea. They thought they had time. They thought the old lady wouldn't notice. But I noticed everything. I gave them 10 minutes. 10 minutes of kissing and touching and whispering. 10 minutes of evidence that would destroy Marcus's perfect marriage. Then I walked back into the living room holding a tray of tea. "Oh my!" I said it like I was shocked. Like I was clutching my pearls. Like a helpless old woman who just stumbled onto something inappropriate. Jennifer jumped off the couch. Her lipstick was smeared. Her dress was wrinkled. Richard stood up quickly. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm so sorry. This isn't—" I held up my hand. "I think you should leave, Richard." He looked at Jennifer. She nodded. He grabbed his jacket and rushed out the door. Jennifer tried to fix her hair. Her hands were shaking. Mrs. Patterson, please. You can't tell Marcus. Please. This was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I sat down in my chair. The chair that faced the hidden camera. I made sure my face was calm. Neutral. Oh, Jennifer. I'm not going to tell Marcus. She looked relieved. Thank you. Thank you so much. I knew you'd understand. You won't regret this, I promise. I smiled. I won't tell Marcus. But the camera will. Her face went white. What camera? I pointed to the family photo. The one Marcus installed 2 weeks ago. Right there, dear. Behind your wedding picture. The camera your husband put in my house to spy on me. She ran to the photo. Ripped it off the wall. Found the tiny camera. Her hands were trembling. Oh my God. Oh my God, Marcus is going to see. Does he check these every day? I shrugged. I don't know, dear. That's between you and your husband. She started crying. Please, Mrs. Patterson. Please, you have to delete it. I'll do anything. How do I delete it? I stood up slowly. Like the old woman they thought I was. Oh, I don't know how these things work, Jennifer. Technology confuses me. Remember, I'm incompetent. She fell to her knees. Literally fell to her knees in my living room and begged. Please. Please don't let him see this. It will destroy everything. And that's when I stopped pretending. I looked down at her with all the coldness I had been hiding for months. You mean it will destroy your plan to put me in a home and steal my house? She froze. What? I walked to the window. Did you think I wouldn't notice the cameras, Jennifer? Did you think I'm really that stupid? That old? That useless? She didn't answer. I turned to face her. I found all 5 cameras 2 weeks ago. I've been acting for you. Playing the confused old lady, so you and Marcus could build your little case against me. But here's the thing, dear. I've been recording too. Her eyes went wide. What? I pulled out my phone. Showed her the app. Showed her the footage. You see, I have my own copies of everything these cameras recorded. Including tonight. Including you and Richard. Including every word you just said. She stood up. Her tears were gone. Replaced by something cold. You're blackmailing me. I laughed. Oh no, dear. I don't need to blackmail you. I'm just going to let things play out naturally. Marcus will check the cameras eventually. He'll see what happened in his mother's house while he was working late. And your marriage will implode. Unless. She grabbed my arm. Unless what? I'll do anything. Anything. I pulled my arm away. Unless you convince Marcus to drop this entire plan. No more cameras. No more doctor's visits to prove I'm incompetent. No more talks about putting me in a home. You leave me alone and I'll delete this footage. All of it. She nodded frantically. Yes. Yes, okay. I'll talk to him. I'll make him stop. I smiled. Good. Now get out of my house. She grabbed her purse and ran. I watched her car peel out of my driveway. And then I poured myself a real cup of tea. But I lied to Jennifer. I wasn't going to delete anything. The next morning I got a call from Marcus. His voice was tight with barely controlled rage. Mom, we need to talk. About what, dear? I asked sweetly. Don't play games. Jennifer told me everything. Everything about what? He was breathing hard. She told me you found the cameras. That you threatened her. Threatened her. I laughed. Marcus, I simply informed your wife that her affair with Richard was caught on the surveillance equipment you illegally installed in my home. If that's a threat, then you have a very interesting definition of the word. There was silence on the other end. Then his voice came back different. Colder. You're lying. Jennifer wouldn't cheat on me. I sighed. Marcus, I have the footage. Would you like me to send it to you? Or perhaps you'd prefer I just check the cloud storage where all your camera feeds are saved. I'm sure it's still there. Unless Jennifer figured out how to delete it. But something tells me she doesn't have your passwords. Another silence. Then, what do you want? Finally I thought. We're getting somewhere. I want you to remove every camera from my house. I want you to delete every piece of footage you've collected. And I want you to leave me alone. He laughed. It was a bitter sound. Or what? You'll show everyone that video. Go ahead, Mom. At least it proves Jennifer is a cheater. It doesn't prove anything about you being competent. Or I could show everyone the other footage I have, I said calmly. What other footage? I smiled even though he couldn't see me. The footage of you and your lawyer in my living room 3 weeks ago. Discussing how to stage an accident to make me look dangerous. Talking about whether you should try to get me to leave the stove on, or maybe have a small fire. That footage, Marcus. The footage that proves you're not trying to help me. You're trying to defraud me." The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought he'd hung up. Then his voice came back. Quiet. Defeated. "What do you want, Mom?" "I already told you. Remove the cameras. Delete the footage. Leave me alone." "And what happens to the video of Jennifer?" "I'll keep it," I said. "As insurance. If you ever try anything like this again, I'll make sure everyone sees it. Your friends. Your colleagues. Her family. Everyone." He made a sound that might have been a sob. "You've changed, Mom. You're not the woman I remember." "No, Marcus. I'm exactly the woman I've always been. You just never paid attention." He hung up. That afternoon a technician came to my house. He said Marcus had sent him to remove some equipment. I let him in and watched as he took down all 5 cameras. When he left, my house felt lighter. Cleaner. Like a weight had been lifted. But I knew this wasn't over. Marcus wasn't the type to give up that easily. And I was right. 3 days later Jennifer came to visit. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes. No makeup. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She sat in my living room and cried for 20 minutes before she could even speak. I let her cry. Finally she looked up at me. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson. For everything." I sat across from her and waited. She wiped her eyes. "Marcus is obsessed with money. He always has been. When we got married I thought it would get better, but it only got worse. He kept talking about how much you had. How unfair it was that you wouldn't help us. We have student loans. A mortgage. Credit card debt. And you're sitting on over $1 million doing nothing with it." I raised an eyebrow. "So you thought it was okay to commit fraud? To try to have me declared incompetent and steal my home?" She shook her head. "I didn't want to. Marcus pushed for it. He said it wasn't stealing. He said it was just accelerating his inheritance. He said you'd be happier in a home anyway, where someone could take care of you." "And the affair?" I asked. "With Richard." She looked down. "That started before all of this. Before the cameras. Before the plan. Richard and I never really stopped talking after college. We kept in touch. And one night a few months ago things just happened." "Does Marcus know?" She shook her head. "Not yet. But he will. You'll make sure of that." I leaned forward. "Jennifer, I don't want to destroy your marriage. I just want to be left alone. If you and Marcus can genuinely walk away and let me live my life in peace, then I'll delete that footage. I'll forget any of this ever happened." She looked up with hope in her eyes. "Really?" I nodded. "Really. But if Marcus tries anything again, if he makes one more move to take my house or my money or my freedom, then I will burn both of your lives to the ground. Do you understand?" She nodded quickly. "I understand." "Good. Now go home." She left. And I thought that was the end of it. But I was wrong. Because 3 weeks later I got a certified letter in the mail. It was from a law firm I'd never heard of. A petition for guardianship. Marcus was taking me to court. He was actually doing it. After everything. After the cameras. After the threats. After I'd given him a chance to walk away. He was still trying to take everything from me. I called Margaret immediately. She came over with her laptop, and we spent the entire evening going through my options. Margaret was furious. "Dorothy, he's insane. You gave him an out. You could have destroyed him, and you didn't. And this is how he repays you." "I know," I said quietly. "What are we going to do?" Margaret's eyes gleamed. "We're going to bury him." The next day I hired Patricia Chin. She was one of the best elder law attorneys in the state. She specialized in cases of financial abuse and exploitation. When I showed her everything I had, the cameras, the footage Marcus didn't know I'd kept, the recordings of him and his lawyer, the affair, she smiled like a wolf. "Mrs. Patterson," she said, "this is the strongest case I've seen in 10 years. Your son made every mistake possible. We're not just going to win. We're going to make an example of him." Over the next 6 weeks Patricia and I prepared. We organized every piece of evidence. We got testimony from Margaret and 3 other neighbors who could confirm I was perfectly competent. We got letters from my doctor, my bank. Even my hairdresser testified that I was sharp as a tack. And we prepared the video. The compilation of Marcus's greatest hits. His own words condemning him. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom was small, but it felt like the entire world was watching. Marcus sat at the plaintiff's table with his expensive lawyer. He wouldn't look at me. Jennifer wasn't there. Patricia told me she'd filed for divorce 2 days before the hearing. Marcus's lawyer went first. He was smooth, professional. He painted a picture of a concerned son trying to help his aging mother. He showed the doctored footage of me acting confused. He brought in a psychologist who'd never even met me to testify about age-related cognitive decline. It was a good presentation. If I hadn't known the truth, I might have believed it myself. Then it was our turn. Patricia stood up. She was calm, composed. She started with the basics. Medical records proving I was in perfect health. Bank statements showing I'd been managing my money flawlessly for decades. Testimony from neighbors. But then she brought out the big guns. "Your Honor," she said, "I'd like to show the court some footage." The judge nodded. The bailiff dimmed the lights and Patricia pressed play. The screen lit up with Marcus and Jennifer in my living room. This was from before I found the cameras. They were talking freely. Planning. Marcus's voice filled the courtroom. "We just need more evidence. A few more videos of her acting confused, and we can get power of attorney. Then we sell the house and split the money." Jennifer's voice. "What if she fights it?" Marcus laughed. "She's 68. She won't fight. And even if she does, no judge is going to side with her over me. I'm her son. I'm doing this for her own good." The courtroom was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Marcus had turned completely white. His lawyer was frantically scribbling notes. Patricia continued. The next clip showed Marcus and his lawyer in my living room planning how to make me look more incompetent. The lawyer actually suggested staging a small kitchen fire. Then came the footage of Jennifer and Richard, kissing in my living room, whispering about their affair, about how Marcus couldn't know, about how they'd been meeting for months at hotels, using money Marcus gave Jennifer for groceries. Patricia paused the video. "Your Honor, all of this footage was captured by surveillance cameras that Mr. Patterson illegally installed in his mother's home without her knowledge or consent. He thought he was collecting evidence against her. Instead, he collected evidence of his own crimes." She pulled out another folder. "We have documentation that Mr. Patterson accessed Mrs. Patterson's mail without permission, that he attempted to contact her doctor to get confidential medical information, that he tried to convince her neighbors she was dangerous, all in an effort to build a false case for incompetence." The judge looked at Marcus. "Mr. Patterson, do you have anything to say?" Marcus stood up. His voice was shaky. "Your Honor, I was just trying to help my mother. I was worried about her." Patricia cut in. "Your Honor, may I present one more piece of evidence?" The judge nodded. She pressed play again. This was the footage from the night Jennifer begged me not to tell Marcus about the affair. Jennifer's voice desperate. "Please, Mrs. Patterson. Please don't let him see this. It will destroy everything." My voice calm and cold. "You mean it will destroy your plan to put me in a home and steal my house?" Jennifer crying. "Please. I'll do anything. Me again. Unless you convince Marcus to drop this entire plan. No more cameras. No more doctor's visits to prove I'm incompetent. No more talks about putting me in a home. You leave me alone, and I'll delete this footage. All of it." Jennifer agreeing frantically. "Yes. Yes, okay. I'll talk to him. I'll make him stop." Patricia paused the video. "Your Honor, 3 days after this conversation, Mr. Patterson removed the cameras from his mother's home. He knew his plan had been discovered. He knew his mother was perfectly competent. And yet 6 weeks later he filed this petition anyway. Because this was never about helping Mrs. Patterson. This was always about money." The judge sat back in his chair. He looked at Marcus for a long time. Then he spoke. "Mr. Patterson, I've been a judge for 23 years. I've seen a lot of things, but I have never seen a case quite like this. You installed illegal surveillance in your mother's home. You conspired to commit fraud. You attempted to have your mother declared incompetent despite knowing she was perfectly capable. And you did all of this for money." He picked up his gavel. "I'm denying your petition. Furthermore, I'm issuing a permanent restraining order. You are to have no contact with your mother whatsoever. No calls. No emails. No visits. Nothing." He looked at Patricia. "Counselor, I'm also referring this case to the district attorney's office. I believe there are criminal charges that should be filed. And Mr. Patterson," the judge's voice was ice cold, "if you ever attempt to contact your mother again, if you ever try to access her finances again, if you even drive past her house, I will hold you in contempt and you will go to jail. Do you understand?" Marcus nodded. He couldn't speak. The judge banged his gavel. Court adjourned. I stood up. Patricia hugged me. "We won," she whispered. "I know," I said. But I wasn't looking at Patricia. I was looking at Marcus. He was sitting at the table with his head in his hands. His lawyer had already packed up and left. And for just a moment I felt something that might have been pity. This was my son. The boy I raised. The child I loved more than anything. And I had just destroyed him in open court. But then I remembered the cameras. The lies. The way he looked at me like I was nothing more than an obstacle. And the pity vanished. I walked out of that courtroom and didn't look back. 3 months later, the district attorney charged Marcus with attempted fraud and elder abuse. He pleaded guilty to avoid jail time, but he lost his law license. He lost his job. He lost his wife. And he lost his mother. Jennifer sent me a card. It was a simple note apologizing for everything. She said she was moving back to her hometown to start over. She said she hoped I could forgive her someday. I never wrote back. Margaret and I had lunch the day the court case was finalized. She raised her glass of wine. To Dorothy, the woman who refused to be a victim. I clinked my glass against hers. To friendship. And to never underestimating old ladies. We laughed. And for the first time in months, I felt truly happy. My house was mine again. My life was mine again. My freedom was mine again. Sometimes late at night, I think about Marcus. I wonder if he ever thinks about what he did. If he regrets it. If he understands why I fought back so hard. But then I remember that Marcus never really saw me as a person. I was always just a means to an end. A bank account with a pulse. And I realized there's nothing to wonder about. He made his choice. And I made mine. My name is Dorothy Patterson. I'm 68 years old. I have $1.2 million in the bank. I live alone in a beautiful house that I earned. And I'm the happiest I've been in years. Because I learned something important through all of this. Being old doesn't mean being weak. Being a mother doesn't mean being a doormat. And loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. Marcus wanted to take everything from me. My home. My money. My dignity. My freedom. But in the end, he was the one who lost everything. And I'm still here. Stronger than ever. Living my life on my own terms. And that is the sweetest victory of all. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.